Good morning and welcome to Friday here on the morning show. Indeed, you've made it. You've gone the gauntlet of the week. Here we're at Friday, and we're so happy you're joining us here on the morning show. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley here at the
fabulous Arizona Center. Indeed it is.
My cough drop just got to the center. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm doing my usual.
Right. I kind of know
Can you
that
smell
face.
it?
I know. Well, I know that face by now.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah. It's like how many licks does it take to the center of the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop?
I was trying to get to it before we did our intro, but it didn't happen. So yeah, my nose holes are on fire right now. Feels good. All right. Anyway, happy Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy
Way to
Friday.
walk into that one.
Right.
So we've got a great show lined up for you today. Some really cool guests that we're excited to introduce you to.
Some film, some escapism.
A little bit of magic.
Yeah.
So,
so I guess it is a Freaky Friday because we're having some magic. And
see, I did not lie.
Yeah,
it's always a Freaky
you're
Friday
right.
with us.
So yeah, so it is a Freaky Friday.
Okay. You asked, we delivered. Actually, you didn't ask for it.
We're still delivering even though you didn't ask.
We would, yeah.
We wanted a Freaky Friday. There you go. So.
And around here, we do what we want. Right?
Indeed we do.
Whew, okay, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break while I deal with this cough drop situation, and we'll be right back after this with our first guest.
Welcome back to the morning show on this Freaky Friday. Indeed it is. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley. We're here at the
fabulous Arizona Center. And you will want to stick around for the entire episode because we've got some cool stuff coming up.
We sure do. But we've got something cool right now.
Yeah.
So in case you didn't notice, we are doing a series of some filmmaker interviews for the Worldwide Women's Film Festival, which I am on the board of, and Marshall is a huge supporter of.
Indeed. And when is that film festival before we go on over there?
It's March 7th to 9th. Yep. And it's at Scottsdale Shea. And it's a really good time. There's films all day long. We've got parties in the evening and awards and all that good stuff. So we hope that you'll come out and join us. But right now, we have got Samantha here, who is the director of an award-winning documentary, Hometown Hero. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your doc.
Yeah, so it's actually about a local photographer named Joshua Good. He was putting on this exhibit called Omnipresent, and I just saw it on Instagram, and it's about basically breaking the narrative that Black fathers aren't around, that they're not present in their kids' lives. And I saw that and I was like, oh, that's so cool, I want to go. And I got my ticket to go, and then I was thinking about it and I was like, it feels like there's more like a story here, like the fact that I saw it and I was like, that's such a cool story. I never really thought of that. I was like, well, maybe other people haven't thought of it either, so I want to like connect with him and see. And so I connected with him, talked about him and his story. He's like in Phoenix. His generations of family members have been in Phoenix and have worked in like the government or in the arts. And when I went to the gallery, I saw that he was also raising money for these other organizations, Black American Dad and Fathers Are Needed, both great guys that I also connected with and then got to interview them. And so, yeah, it unfolded into a cool story from there. Yeah.
That's, I mean, good on you, though, for even just wanting to take that
right.
deeper.
I mean, taking that ambition and being, okay, let's go engage and get further behind what the story is.
And following your curiosity there. I mean, did he take some convincing to do the doc, or was he, like, all for it?
He was all for it. I'm sure it was awkward because, again, it's like he's used to being behind the lens and like, you know, taking, and so I tried to make it as like comfortable as we could. Like I filmed him, it was kind of out of order, which sometimes happens with films where it's like I met him and I filmed him like framing and talking to him a bit, and then I actually did the gallery, and then I did all the interviews after because it was just how it lined up that I found out about it. So I think we got some like conversations first that made it less awkward, you know, once we sat down and did the interview.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, I realize the obvious answer would be breaking that narrative that Black men are often absent fathers. But what is it that you're kind of hoping people take away from the experience of this film, or what message is he really trying to communicate with people by experiencing this documentary?
Yeah, so I think, like, first and foremost, like, the hope is that realizing that your words matter, you know, that what you say, because a lot of their stories were scenarios where they're like, oh, when I was a kid, my dad was always around, but somebody would be like, oh, you're so lucky your dad's around. Like that kind of, like the stigma that comes from it and the narrative. And then you're a Black man that becomes a father, but you feel like you're already, you know, behind. Like people expect less of you. So it's like, what I hope is that people watch it and then reflect on like what you think, you know, when you think of a Black father and like how they're great dads to, you know, so it's like changing that narrative from the beginning, and then how you speak to your kids, how kids speak around each other makes a difference in how kids grow up and how they perceive and see themselves or see other people.
So I know one of the big challenges when doing documentary films is you can have a really great story or a really great cause or a really great mission, but sometimes it can be hard to get the subject of the documentary to communicate that in a compelling way. Can you talk about kind of how you conducted those interviews and kind of the power of asking good questions or maybe even building trust? Like how do you make a good doc, you know, from that?
Well, these guys, thankfully, they were already good at speaking.
Yeah.
Too. They were, you know, two of them already had their own organizations, and Josh was he was a teacher and is a guidance counselor now. But there were some moments that were heavier and that we were talking about, and like, where do you think this narrative came from? Where do you think, and I even had like one of the guys was like, I don't really want to talk about that. And so like just being flexible and being like, we're going to pivot to what you're feeling comfortable with. And then when it seemed like they were passionate about something that we were talking about, like I just had to kind of be like, you know, ahead of it to be like, okay, let's just talk more about that. What do you think about that? And so they were great about being flexible with, you know, which direction we were going, and even getting them involved, being like I just want you to feel like your story is being told. Is there anything you want to add? Like stuff like that, you know, to get them involved as much as possible, and then just telling their story and kind of like uplifting their story, that they feel like respected at the end. You know, I just wanted to make a film that they felt like their story was told accurately, and then they got, you know, like all the things that mattered to them was like said on camera. Was
there a moment with you behind the camera and them in front of the camera where it's like that aha moment happened?
Yes, I feel like with all three of them, they have very similar stories and for very different stories. I have one guy that he's a dad that's not with the mother right now, and so he's telling his experience of being a dad out with his daughter, and like things like, I'm going to the bathroom, I need to take her to the restroom, I had to take her to the men's room, but then people are like, what, are you crazy? And it's like, that's what you have to do. Or there's no changing table in the men's bathroom, stuff like that. Like it's just things that, you know, just fatherhood things. So that's kind of like the mesh of the story, is it's about Black fatherhood, but it's also just about fatherhood, because that is what the point of it is, just like, these are dads, you know? So I feel like with each interview, there was something that was like, oh, this feels like your story, and also someone else could relate to this. So it felt like that came out like a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious, like, you know, with documentary filmmaking, sometimes, you know, you start out thinking that it's going to be one story, and then it kind of turns into something different. And, you know, what is that journey like? I mean, I think I've worked with some filmmakers where they're really good at going with the flow and letting things unfold. And then I've worked with other filmmakers where that control is really important, you know? So kind of where do you fall in that, and what's your kind of process there?
I feel like with this story, it could have gone, maybe I was lucky. Like, it could have gone so many ways, and it would have all been good. Yeah. You know? So I feel like in that, there were things that popped up that I didn't even know. I mean, I talked to Josh, the photographer, just about his story, and then I find out that his grandfather, Calvin Good, was worked in the government. He has a building named after him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
we've talked about
that.
that.
It's so funny you did him. I didn't. So I was at an event and he was walking by. I didn't realize who he was, and we just start talking about history. And I throw out some things, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no. By the way, Calvin Good." And I'm like, "Oh, that's why you know about Phoenix history. I get this."
Yeah. So it's so cool that I didn't even know that. And he's like, "Yeah, so my grandfather," and it was like, "Oh wow, yeah." Like that's like it's cool to see each generation changing the world in a different way because his father's an artist and he does all these great artworks, and so it was cool, kind of a like a legacy like story. So that was cool. But definitely, I mean, I feel like there were so many paths that I could have, and I kind of wanted to go even the path of how it affects like kids socially, like how historically, and it didn't go that route. I couldn't connect with someone. I wanted to like get like a historian, like some actual, let's get a historian, a sociologist. So that would maybe be an example of something that I wanted, but then I was like, I couldn't get someone in time and fly out, and I was like, I'm just going to do this personal story, of it, and then maybe it can be into a feature documentary, and I can, connect with other people.
Nice. Are you a purist? Do you only do documentary films?
No.
Okay.
I actually, so it's funny, I write horror films. So I'm totally different. I'm all over the place.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So
nice.
I've write horror films. I've done a lot of like art department and any kind of, So I'm not a purist, but documentary was like the easiest. Hey, I want to make this film and I want to do every role myself.
Right.
Documentary was something that was like.
Was this your first documentary?
It was my first film. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was my first time doing a film all by myself. I thankfully had someone. I hired someone, Gabriel, to help me with camera stuff, so that when I was doing the interviews, I wasn't like, is the camera still running? Like nervous. So like he helped a lot, set it up, his equipment. Other than that, I did every other role. So it was just to be able to like, I want to flesh out, do a whole film. And thankfully, it was something I was very passionate about because it's very difficult, as you guys know, in production to like keep going. So it was my first.
Well, very cool. Congrats on all the success of your first film. That's
Thank
huge.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so where and when can people see the film at the festival?
I should know this.
It's okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I think it's March 7th. Did you say it was it? Oh no, I think it's March 8th. At 9:15, it's the Promises film block at the
Scottsdale Shea.
And it'll end up being online in in a month or two, and then everyone can access it, and you can find it on my Instagram too.
Perfect. Yeah. So just a reminder about the film festival, the blocks have kind of weird names, so you can look at the films and read about what's in each one, but they're all really, really incredible. And we hope that you'll come out and watch Samantha's film there. She's going to be rocking a really cool shirt, which is the smartest marketing ever. Do you want to tell about your shirt?
I will have a shirt on that says ask me about my film, so then you'll know it's me. And we'll talk.
I don't know how I didn't ever think of that.
Except now I have a feeling now there's going to be copycats.
Yeah. You guys are going to be showing up with Ask Me About My Show.
I was going to say, we need to Ask Me.
Right,
I want to get you one for the Melrose market to be wearing that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Samantha. Looking forward to seeing the film again. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. We've got more good things coming your way.
And some magic. Good morning and welcome back to the morning show on this Freaky Friday.
You really like saying that now.
I do, because it's like, there have been some movies. I don't want to say good movies, but I mean, they were fun.
Yeah.
But happy morning show on this Friday.
Happy morning show
so
from
I'm
Marshall Shore
and
Melissa Farley.
Indeed, and where are we?
Fabulous Arizona Center.
Indeed, and so
Yeah, so we got thrown a little surprise history nugget there. Do you want to continue with the history lesson this morning, Marshall?
Of course, more than happy to. All right, so have you ever gone from Phoenix driven through Yuma, maybe on your way to San Diego?
I sure have.
So today, celebrating the opening of the Phoenix-Yuma Imperial Highway.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, it was planks over the sand dunes. So you did the bump, 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 bump. I mean, I can imagine it was not a fun, I mean, you can just imagine it wasn't a fun road to take.
No.
Not at all. And so it later became Route 80 that was then replaced by I-8, which now you can zip away to San Diego with no problem, or zip your way to Yuma, which has lots of cool stuff.
It does, but I'd rather go to San Diego, I think.
But you know, but it's kind of fun. I mean, you've got like Lutz Casino, you've got the San Carlos Hotel there. I mean, there's all kinds of cool buildings and things.
Yeah.
The Sanguinetti House, which is really cool.
That is cool, and the territorial prison.
Oh God! If you've never been to the prison, it's well worth a stop at the prison.
Yeah. No, actually, Yuma is a fun place to stop, and we used to. I don't know why, but we used to not drive all the way to San Diego. We would always stop and stay for a night or two in Yuma.
Well,
and
why
then
not? I mean, so that way when you get to San Diego, you're nice and rested. And
But you're so close. Like, you might as well finish the...
You can't see it. It's not like you're close. It's not like, oh, look, I see San Diego.
That's true. I know.
So
I just thought it was kind of funny.
But that way you can get there and be all nice and rested.
Yeah, I think that was the plan. And honestly, I think if we did a road trip again, we would probably do that because, you know, my dad's getting older.
Right.
That long in a car is probably uncomfortable, taking a break. So,
And plus it's Yuma.
It's Yuma. It's changed a lot, like, over the years. A lot.
But it is still the winter lettuce capital of the world.
You'll always have that, Yuma. I actually filmed a feature film in Yuma. I was there for, I think, a week and a half filming.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a cool community. They really embraced us and were super supportive. We had great turnout, like, for extras. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good experience. So.
Indeed. All right. So other than driving somewhere else, what are some other things we could celebrate?
Ooh.
Ooh, indeed. So, when you were a kid and you would lose a tooth, what would you do with it?
Put it under the pillow.
And what would happen?
I'd get money.
Indeed. And so today is Tooth Fairy Day.
Oh boy.
So yeah.
Is it knocking out a tooth for the tooth
Well,
fairy?
I mean, it's basically just or I guess highlighting the fact that, you know, the history behind kids' teeth, I mean, is folklore, is a little bit of ancient beliefs, modern creativity. They believed that children's teeth had special powers. And they'd throw them at the sun or bury them for special things. And there was this fascination with small animals, like the tooth mouse, that would come and take your tooth away.
Okay.
And then here in the U.S., it's like they got a little bit more creative with that. And it's like, oh, put that tooth under your pillow.
Yeah.
And then you would find a quarter. I wonder what kids get now.
I never got a quarter. I got at least $1 when I would put a tooth under.
Wow.
Sometimes 5.
Dang. I'm like going, okay, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30.
Well, not for all of them.
So, yeah, so happy Tooth Fairy Day.
Happy Tooth Fairy Day. Woohoo.
And then on the other side of that is, you know, like when we had Bloom, they were talking about remember that floral arrangement we had here?
Yeah, it was
that beautiful
stunning.
thing that was stunning. Well, today is Florist Design Day.
Oh.
So it's a great way to basically showcase the history of flower design. So go get yourself some flowers today. Maybe go get a special arrangement from a florist.
Yeah, or there's lots of places now where you can design your own bouquet.
Exactly. Maybe take a class.
Yeah.
And make your own bouquet. So
I was really proud of the bouquet I made at Bloom's, actually. Like, normally mine are really, remember we've talked about how hideous my...
Yeah, because, well, there was 602 Day where they
Yeah.
were like,
I'll do that for you.
Do
And
some help?
my failed flower crown. But my Bloom's bouquet was really beautiful. I think either I got lucky or I'm getting better. I don't know.
Right, you didn't show it off. You didn't bring in photos and go, look, here's
Oh,
my...
I did post pictures on Instagram, but I didn't bring it in here. No, yeah.
Okay, so maybe later on I'll take a look at your floral display. Like, wow, you did that.
I know.
So very cool.
It was funny though, because after like we went through all the trouble, because Anne was with me, and we made our own bouquets, and then we were like, we could have just bought a beautifully already made bouquet. Like, but you know, that was kind of part of the experience.
Well, I was going to say,
yeah.
right, that was part of the experience, was not
Yeah.
just buying it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's now something that you've made.
Correct.
So did you take it home and...
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of would wrap it for you, and you know, yeah. So
okay.
it was cool.
Very cool. And then something I know that you... So I know you like chocolate.
I love chocolate.
And so today is chocolate souffle day.
Ooh.
Where it's those egg whites that have been whipped up so it's nice and frothy with a little bit of chocolate, almost like a lava cake in there hanging out, just waiting for your fork or spoon. I would say spoon because you want to get all that yummy.
Spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because a
spoon
fork,
for sure.
it's like the like.
Hey kids, just eat a bunch of chocolate souffles until your teeth fall out for Tooth Fairy Day.
Make your dentist happy day.
Yeah.
And children's dentures. There you go. That's what the morning show's espousing.
Oh, we're such a great influence.
Indeed we are. And then, you know, if you have enough chocolate souffle, it's public sleeping day.
What?
So
Just like go to what?
take a little nap, like a little power nap.
But out in public? Why? I don't think I could do that.
Oh, interesting.
Do you see how much I'm like Elsbeth? I carry 3 giant tote bags and like, oh my God, I'd be so worried.
But
that,
you could do it in your car. You just put the seat back and.
Does that count? That counts
Yeah.
as public?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I used to do that all the time.
Oh, like now you've changed your tune. Oh, I've done that all the
well,
time.
because I can lock the door.
Well, right.
With all
yeah,
my stuff inside.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So all your bag lady stuff.
But it was funny because that was when I used to work for this nonprofit, and I would have to drive like all over every day. I was like driving all these different places, and you know, sometimes you'd get there early, and I'd be like, well, I'm gonna take a little snoozer, and so you'd try to like park next to like some place that was kind of inconspicuous, so like somebody didn't walk by. And it was always the worst when like people would come to their car to leave, and you'd just be inside like, hey. I'm
mouth wide open.
I'm not dead, I promise. Yeah. Actually, I did that. What was that? I did that in front of. Oh, it was for that meeting that you spoke at for this like the art creative city.
Right.
Symposium.
Okay.
I napped
Right.
in the Foundry parking lot. before
Oh,
that
I don't
one.
blame you at all.
Yeah.
So
It was a long day.
it was.
So yes, I'm all behind car napping. I can do that.
So yeah, exactly. So you get that little power nap, and it was funny because when I was in New York, it's like your body knew when you were getting close to your stop, and so you just like kind of woke up.
I always was curious about that because yeah, you'll see people sleeping on the subway, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how do they know?
Yeah, it's like your body just kind of knows, and all of a sudden it's like,
Interesting.
you just kind of like you hear like I don't know if you like hear the stop before, and that's when it's
Yeah.
like you're like, okay, time to wake up now.
Yeah.
But
Huh. Yeah. That always stressed me out. I was like, knowing me, I'd sleep like go 20 stops past where I'm supposed to be.
I did do that once. I did fall asleep, but I was like going a different route, and I was going to a birthday party with cake and everything, and I woke up and I'm like, wow, this is not where I'm supposed to be at all. So I guess we're getting late cake because
That's funny.
that's all we got. So, so a nap is always great to just kind of end and go into a little bit of a break so we can take a little siesta.
I wouldn't mind a little nap.
All
I'll
right,
take you up
and
on
we'll
that.
be back with some magic, some cool stuff. Oh
stuff.
my gosh. Good morning and welcome back to the morning show. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley. We're here at
The
the
fabulous
fabulous
Arizona
Arizona
Center.
Center.
It's going to be a magical day.
I like how quiet we got. We were like, what do we say?
I know, how do we, like, it's like, and build anticipation for what's getting ready to come because it's really cool.
It is really cool. Okay, we'll just get right to it. We are here with our second guest of the show, Jerome Hill. Hi.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good. So you are with JesterClub Attractions.
Yes.
So how do you identify yourself? What is your profession exactly?
So it's kind of a catch-all. The company JesterClub started by me about 13 years ago as just a individual entertainment brand for me to go and do performances at like birthday parties and festivals and things like that, having grown up around live entertainment. And then as my career continued and other people began to follow me and want to learn how to do the things that I do, it started to grow into kind of a conglomerate of entertainers and artists and people that want to try and figure out how do we get started,
Right.
Doing shows, and how do we learn about booking and expenses and the business side of things that a lot of artists don't get told about until sometimes it's too late.
Yeah.
Basically telling every artist that it's very, very possible to be your own manager. And then it snowballed from there into being also consultory agents for like Renaissance festivals and immersive attractions and museums and theme parks and things like that.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm busy a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like all good stuff. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, especially here in Arizona. I mean, born and raised out here, it always felt imperative to me to make something that kind of sticks here as far as, an entertainment brand, not necessarily the brand, but what it creates in that when I'm done performing and when my cohorts are done performing, there's still people out here that can say that JesterClub taught them how to keep going and hopefully pass that to somebody else, that there's some kind of performance and artist scene in Arizona still after we're long gone.
So we keep saying performing. What is it exactly that you perform?
So my specialty specifically is juggling and magic and sideshow acts.
Okay.
So to kind of zoom out on that a little bit, it's stuff like I juggle machetes, I eat razor blades, I escape from straitjackets. I also do like simple magic, card tricks, sponge ball tricks, cup tricks, things like that. I pride myself on being a very flexible kind of all ages entertainer. So if you don't want the hardcore edgy stuff, I can totally dial it back for whatever the needs are for whatever I'm being asked to do.
Wow. Okay. How do you wake up one day and say, I think I'm gonna swallow some razor blades and see how that goes?
Usually it's because you're being influenced by somebody else who did it first. Some of my idols in magic were people like, of course, Chris Angel and the amazing Jonathan, and of course Penn Jillette, who through my entire career people keep saying I look like him because usually I have long hair and a ponytail, and everyone goes, you look like Penn, and I'm like, yeah, I'm his long lost son, One day I'm gonna go to a meet and greet and be like, Dad, is that you? you went out for milk 30 years ago, what happened?
Nice.
But so it's usually like a product of your environment,
Yeah.
what you can absorb in terms of what you want to do, and then just figuring out what you can do and what you want to do. I can, for example, take a staple gun and staple money to parts of my body for someone's entertainment. Do I want to? No. So you find something else that you want to do instead. So turns out that eating razors just fit my bill a little bit better. Juggling machetes. I also juggle a pair of live bear traps on stage at certain shows that I do. It's just finding ways that kind of work with your flow as a performer and also catch the attention of the audience.
So I'm
just thinking about juggling live bear traps. I'm like, without them going off.
It's happened a couple of times. I've yet to get clipped, but just to give you an example, I did a show not too long ago in California for a medieval festival out there, and I was juggling the bear traps, and one of the springs was loose, and it went off mid-air, and it clipped. Now, when an object's in motion, if another motion starts, it's going to change trajectory a little bit, and I kind of tried to save the catch as it was coming down, and I felt this finger curl inside of the teeth of the other bear trap.
Nope.
And as quick as I could, just went, nope, and just let it go and started the trick over, because when the audience gasp when they hear the clap, they've already kind of gotten their money's worth, and then it's at that point of like, did he die? No, he made it, and just did the trick again. But it's definitely gone off a couple of times in midair.
Wow. So, like, do you just not have the fear gene? Like, how do you...
Apparently not, because while as much as I prefer, like, I actually prefer family entertainment more, you know, doing card tricks and making people of all ages smile and laugh, I can't help it but, you know, obviously acknowledge that I am good at the more dangerous things. Like in 2017, I became one of the few magicians in Arizona that did the bullet catch. Just not too far down the road from here, actually, where I was shot at with a .357 Magnum revolver, and I caught it in my teeth.
Wow.
It is the most dangerous trick in magic, and I just decided, yeah, sure, shot in the face, let's go. Why not? My folks are proud. Let's do it. So,
so I'm curious, you know, I'm trying to think how to ask this. Like, kids nowadays, and even adults, I guess, if we're being honest, right? We watch so much stuff where everything's extreme, you know, there's just crazy violence all the time and everything happening on television and video games. You know, do you find that people react to you differently now in kind of this digital age versus kind of the olden days? When
Yes, I definitely think so, and a big part of that comes from, you know, I'll do a trick and I'll hear someone in the back, some kid yell, I saw that on YouTube, and I'm sure they probably did, or they saw some other more dangerous thing, or they saw Chris Angel do it on Mind Freak or something, and the exposure is definitely there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because sure, it's a more digital age and more things are accessible, but that means we're being watched more.
Yeah.
So it hasn't quite affected a huge amount of, you know, whether or not people enjoy what I do, whereas it actually creates a larger platform to use it in other ways. Like, for example, one of the recurring things that I do is I help out at the UFO experience at the Arizona Boardwalk. A lot of that immersive experience is done with practical effects, you know, wires, silicone, screens, all kinds of stuff like that. And it helps to have a magician's brain put that stuff together, because people still want that level of immersion, even if they know how it's done online.
Well, I think that's an excellent point, because I was on Chris Angel's show, and
Cool.
I got to hang out with them for like a week or so, and he has a whole team of brilliant people that build brilliant things and put these incredibly detailed plans and things into place for some of those tricks to happen. And to me, it was like no less impressive. Like, it was just a different kind of wow, you know, to understand, like, holy cow, somebody has to think of how to do this, you know?
It's still art.
Yeah.
You know? It's like professional wrestling. I have friends in that world too. Sure, it's a predetermined choreographed sport, but you still have to be in shape to do things. You still have to be able to lift a human body above your head in some cases, and understand timing and entrances and all that stuff. I think that's kind of an era we're in as an audience right now, is people are seeing behind the curtain. They're actually full peeking behind the curtain, but they love it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't detract anymore from, you know, what makes them enjoy it so much, whereas maybe at one point in time it did. You know, an example would be, remember the Magic Secrets Revealed show from way back when? When that man unmasked himself and the studio kind of abandoned him, he was sued by so many magicians who were coming after him for the concepts. But the audience loved the fact that he showed them behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And that didn't detract from his popularity or Magic's popularity or interest in people doing it. You know, the fact that here we are, how many years removed from that show, 20 some odd years, little kids come up to me and they want to know how to do magic tricks.
Yeah.
You know, they still want to be able to do it, because there's still, as much as you know how it works, you know at least 5 people who don't, and you want to amaze those people.
Yeah. What happened to that magician? Did any of the magicians win their lawsuits? Or
most of them did. Most
really?
of them did. Yeah, last I had heard, he was somewhere in Brazil, still performing, but definitely he was on the ropes for a little while. But I think he's at least functioning well.
Okay.
At least last I heard. He's one of those magicians that just fell off the map at one point. But I definitely, that's another inspiration of mine, is some of his tricks are done in ways that I do them. So a lot of times they're inspired the same way. And I've had at least one person see my card sword illusion, where I shuffle a deck of cards and I throw it in the air and I stab a sword in the air and I have their card. I use a method that he uses, and I've had one person walk up to me and go, "Did you get that from the Magic Secrets?" I go, yes, I did, because it's a very good concept.
Yeah. Very cool.
So you talked about performing at a Renaissance fair in California. Is there like a Renaissance, because I know we're right in the middle of our Renaissance fair here.
Yes, and I worked at that one.
Is there a circuit?
Sort of. So to kind of give a bit of a blend on how Renaissance festivals work, they're all independently owned most of the time. And there's like certain fairs that work in that you can get to one when another one ends. For example, I did the one here, Arizona Renaissance Festival, from 2013 to 2023. And I had a lot of friends who would travel away from that fair when it was over. Their very next stop was the Georgia Renaissance Festival, because that was 7 days later. So you would just kind of have to book your fairs to kind of make your own circuit. Like I have one still. My circuit's a tour I call the Reign of Laughter. It starts in March in Tucson at a steampunk convention.